Okay. Admitting now 7 people. Michael is coming in. So, Brian's in. Welcome, everybody. Give 5 more minutes or a few more minutes just for everybody to kind of walk in and settle down. Checking YouTube status. It is ready and waiting. Thirteen, 14 participants are coming in. All right. I'm gonna have to ask somebody to take register. Let's see here. Help me take register. I'm sending a link through Zoom for someone to assist. Oh, Stephen, you're in. Stephen, can you assist in doing register, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
I don't understand how that spreadsheet works. I'm going to just take register elsewhere and we'll update that later.
All right.
Okay.
Sure thing. Brian and Brad are saying that they are having issues getting in. I'm going to try and sort that out in the meantime. Michelle's otter.ai. Michelle?
That's the transcribing thing.
Yes. All right. Okay, cool. That's happening there too. Excellent. I'm now going to start broadcasting to YouTube. Everything's good. Okay, why aren't you giving me access anymore? Good morning, Issa. I'm going to put you on mute, yeah? Marsh is in the house. Cool. I have somehow waiting for AfrikaBurn. For some reason, the YouTube thing's not working. At least we are recording, and we can always upload that to YouTube later. All right. We should be hitting quorum by now. Let me just pull in this. But otherwise, while we are checking on quorum, I have to say that, yeah, we are live, and this is going to be recorded and will be posted onto YouTube later. So when questions are being asked, please keep it to, and comments are being said, please keep it to the agenda item and to the agenda for today. All right. For now, as I sort out some other things, over to you, Rihanna, please go.
Good morning, everyone. It's with great pleasure that I open our AGM held on the 26th of November, 2022. Thank you so much, MEMSEC, for putting this together. Thank you, membership, for your service. Thank you, operations team, for doing your amazing work. Thank you, EXCO. Thank you, FINCO. Thank you, Lorraine, for guiding us through this interesting year. And thank you to all of the board members present. And I would like to take us through the agenda of today. I will leave point 2, 3, 4, and 5 being the confirmation and resignation of existing members for voting purposes, the apologies and proxies, the establishment of quorum, the confirmation of existing directors and members for voting purposes, the confirmation of the minutes of 2021 AGM, and the confirmation or resignation of existing directors to MEMSEC. Furthermore, Lorraine will present the director's report for 2022. Mali will present the financial reports by FINCO, will take us through the draft financial statements of the financial year of 2022 and guide us through the approval of the auditor's remuneration. MEMSEC then again will take us through the approval of the 2022-2023 budget, and which will leave us with point 11, which will allow us to address other matters which are appropriate in this forum. Until we close on the point 12. There has been, an abundant scheduling of 3 hours put in place for this meeting, but timing this, and Dane will be assisting me in this process, we do believe that we could run through all of this in 1 hour, which will leave more time for further discussions to be held, in person or on this forum. But our aim is to run through this in a smooth and abundant matter. May I then hand it over to the representative of MEMSEC for point 2. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I'm just going through the list of attendees right now. Maybe it will assist me. If I call out your name, please say aye. I do not think we have actually reached quorum. Graham is not here. Bradley's trying to make his way in. Just
I have I have 4 proxies.
Sorry.
Can you tell us who the proxies are, Stephen? There's Catherine Graham.
Yeah, Catherine, Graham, Paul, and Michelle.
Okay, so I've got Graham and Kat's proxy, so technically they are in the room. And who has Paul's proxy and who has Michelle's proxy?
Paul is with Robert Wynick, and I have Michelle.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12. We have proxy.
Okay.
I mean quorum. You mean
quorum? Yes.
Yeah. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, there we go. We have 12. Yes. Cool. And then point 3, apologies and proxies established. Yes, we've done that now. Resignations of members. I believe that is Julia. Is that correct, guys? Samantha, Stephen?
Excuse me, say again?
Yes, that's correct.
That is correct. All right. Members for voting purposes. 3 to
Wait,
5
just
minutes.
on that, Brad's trying to get in. He can't get in. Ash, are you on that or?
All right, let's see if he's got the right link. I'm not just for the.
Yeah, I just sent you a message about Brett.
Okay.
He's trying to connect for 10 minutes.
Shame. Okay. Dear, oh dear. I've sent him that link. Which link have you used, Isa?
I used the link in the calendar.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Can you also send that through to him? I sent that one
Yeah.
through to him. Oh no, I sent the Google spreadsheets. Oh no wonder. Copy. Excuse me. That's 006. There we go. Right, and then what is next? We need to do the confirmation of minutes of 2021 AGM. Do we have anybody the second that they confirmed?
I'm happy to
The-
second accepting the minutes.
And then anyone outside of MEMS, if I can ask that? No, okay, cool. We have Sam as a member. 5, confirmation or resignation of existing directors, confirm NED step down. And Brad has just entered. So with confirmation or resignation of existing directors, with the confirmation, I think we can't say anybody just yet. For NEDs, we have sent out emails through to the NEDs that have met the threshold, and I believe one of them so far has accepted it, and we're waiting for the other 2 that have been notified.
But for the purposes of this meeting, the existing directors are Rihanna, Lungile, Marley, Ralph, Roger, Nick, and our executive directors are Lorraine and Dane. And the 3 board members, the 3 NEDs who have resigned with effect of this meeting are Lungile, Roger, and Ralph.
Yes. Is that agreed? Okay.
And then, Bash, on this point, it's of course with great pleasure that we introduce Dane Karibo. Would you like to speak some words to all of us, Dane?
Yeah. Well, actually, yesterday marked my 1 month with the organization, and it's been an incredible experience, you know, to get to know everyone on a personal level, get to understand the different facets of the organization, and you know, I see the challenges that we have overcome, and obviously need to overcome. So I'm really excited to get stuck in and see where we can go. Yeah.
Thank you so much. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lorraine, would you like to take us through 2022?
Sure. It was another year, one in which we rose, tripped, hammered, and burned. Stripped down to a skeleton, our year began in Quaggafontein with a little spring in our step. Resilience and shared endeavour built a community of 40 women and gender non-binary folk who engaged in the moment, with the soil and air, in the silence of the Tankwa, to co-create and centre self-expression of diverse yet shared gendered experiences. It formed an active network of empowered women across the country and sparked many subsequent shared endeavours. Some of our community crews came out to Quaggafontein to create their own unique experiences. Eco Trip 2 furthered the permaculture and food gardening work and play by the homestead alongside our circular economy infrastructure that was beginning to take root and help us reduce the use of fossil fuels to generate electricity. The archaeology work also continued with our heritage experts. At the Junction Hotel, Hammer School adapted the DPW experience to an urban programme. Initially angled towards youth, it was adopted by the lost generation of marginalised women, keen to develop themselves by learning practical skills. Taking design thinking through to electrics, carpentry, metalwork, and public art, the series of introductory workshops was a roaring success, even resulting in requests from shelters to run programs for vulnerable women. 36 students from a local marketing and design school descended on ABHQ for an unbrand challenge, working with us for 6 weeks and reflecting back at us from a Gen Z worldview. Joining hands with 2 other international arts network organisations, we took legal action against the National Arts Council for reneging on our contract in dispersing the Presidential Employment Stimulus Programme funds. Receiving a settlement in full just ahead of our day in the Cape High Court, our stand along with others forced the hand of the NAC to honour the contracts of all who had not been bullied into signing addenda to reduce the amount of the payment. It was a huge win for the arts sector against the maladministration of public funds. And then, with no assurances offered, we proceeded with cautious optimism to build Tanquetown again, this time rising in its new forever home, Kwaggafontein. It was evident we needed the whole AfrikaBurn community to take a risk with us, and so we formalised a new ticketing strategy that delineated the donations and brought sales earlier, so we had at least one known quantity in a sea of unknown eventualities. One of the distinct ripples from the default came from the impact of war, with an art crew each from Ukraine and Russia intending to execute their works in 2022. As dreams unravelled into a waking nightmare, we were respectfully asked to take a position. And so we did. That while the Burniverse seeks to be apolitical, we recognise that art is political. Yet we only have to look at South Africa to know that we are not our governments and we cannot judge people solely on the passports that they hold. For much of Critical Path, we navigated our way through the adjusted lockdown level 1. We were caught between a sand dune and a hard place, familiar territory for ops. With the vaxxers, the anti-vaxxers, the conspiracy theorists, the COVID capitalists, the naysayers, and the come hell or high water ardent supporters, there was no shortage of opinions to be found and aired, often on the socials, about where our journey into the unknown might end. We did overdue diligence, rallied the powers that be, stuck our necks on the line, were on standby for departures, and went down to the wire in the effort to stage the elastic crawl-out burning test. Keeping COVID at bay during the DPW build was a military operation in itself, requiring strict access control, isolation plans, and testing provision. Our first operations meeting on the Sunday pre-event was an emotional homecoming. Before the gates officially opened, we had more permits in our midst than we've ever needed over the provincial border, and a taste of we've got this. We checked in a total of 6,065 participants from a distribution of 6,808 tickets that were purchased across a staggering 93 territories. Behind the curtain, it wasn't without its challenges. And though the community by and large played ball with the restrictions, this ship was literally bananas. Like newborn foals, we bumbled, stumbled, somewhat dazzled, but never sparkled. We all went back to school to learn our ABCs. This time we only got as far as cacophony. The camaraderie between the portfolios was palpable as our grit and grace carried us through. Our volunteers were upstanding, outstanding, and amazingly still standing. We interacted with 54 theme camps, 62 artworks and performances, 18 Binnackring events, and 76 mutant vehicles. We had the 2 Oceans Dickathon, where on Saturday night during the clan burn, years worth of pent-up desire for social contact was unleashed in a tsunami of nakedness. And the epic release of Gaia's song, The Temple That Burnt on the Sunday, with crisp, quiet perfection. We popped out the other side of Event 14 with a sense of achievement. The satisfaction of proving to ourselves that we still could was hard won. We reflected on this amorphous outpost of creative expression, and as always, there were some significant gains, some serious challenges, some deep learnings and new understandings about this community we scaffold. We also recognise distinctly that to move beyond survival through sustainability to regeneration, as a team we need to ground, reset, grow differently and integratively. The cycle concluded with an environmental research project taking up residence on Kwaggafontein, offering yet another perspective of the kinds of opportunities and partnerships we can facilitate towards a better, though uncertain, future. As Ellen Johnson Sirleaf said, if your dreams do not scare you, they're not big enough.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lorraine, for your wordsmithery and how you capture so well how we, the community at large, impact the world and how we seek to strive and envision that moving forward. And I would like to open the floor for any questions, comments. Go ahead, who would like? I see hearts, Lorraine, I see appreciation. Wonderful. Sam, go ahead.
I just wanted to say that was a very exciting report to hear. That was really an encapsulation of what sounds like a hugely successful year. And I'd like to extend my congratulations to our ED and our ops team, because that can't have been easy. And you made it look easy. And also to say, I did not realize that RISE had an impact beyond the community that gathered in the desert, and to hear that we've been approached by shelters is really quite incredible. It just shows the quality and integrity of the work that you've done, and so kudos for that.
Wonderful, Sam. Thank you. I see a lot of comments of appreciation. If nobody else wants to speak, then I'm going to give the word to Mali to discuss the financial report which you put together with Vinco. Go ahead.
Great, thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and I'm very excited to share our financial report. So, cool, all clear? Can you see everything? All right, awesome, thank you. So I'm going to start by breaking out the key themes for this financial year, 2022. Firstly, we hosted a very successful 2022 event, thanks to the operations team and the volunteers in the community at large, and that really played a big role in stabilizing our finances. Secondly, we're able to stabilize our humans capacity again and bring it back to some sort of normal, where in the previous financial year, we had to make a lot of compromises, but it's good that we're able to try and return that to a productive capacity. Further, we continued the rationalization of costs. So in the previous financial year, we tried very, very hard to minimize as far as we can to keep the organization stable. And we continued that in this new financial year as well. And we had further investment in Kwaggafontein as well. We held the event there, and there was a lot of work that had to be done, and some of that needed some financial resources to go into that. And we will see later how that manifested. So I'm going to start by looking at an analysis of the income statement. So we had a event income of 13 million. So all the numbers are in thousands. So the 13,901 would be 13.9 million rands. So that was an increase from last year, and that was because we were able to hold the event in this year with over 6,000 participants. Now, this amount excludes the donation portions from the May Day and New Horizons ticket, and this is just the event income that would be coming to us. Then we had grants and donations, which was 4.2 million. So that was an increase from last year. And the key reason for that, again, is because we were able to sell those tickets. We had those May Day and New Horizon donation portions coming into that. And we also had investment in other income. So this mostly relates to the interest income that we get from the bank, as well as other projects such as the Eco Trip, which contributed to that other income. And it is quite an important income stream to diversify our income from having a single event. So it's always good to see that number coming up. Then the event expenses, last year we almost had no event expenses because we didn't hold the event, but this year it was 6.7 million, and I'll show you a breakdown of that in later slides. Then we had operating expenses, which were slightly lower than they were in the previous financial year, because the previous financial year we had to do retrenchments and so forth, which came with significant costs. But this year, this amount has stabilized a bit, and I'll also show you a breakdown of this amount. Then we had project costs, which are other projects that we have, such as NATI, and we'll show how this was distributed as well. So overall, we are very pleased to have had a surplus of 4.1 million this year, and this really just helps to recover us from the previous financial years, where we really did dig into all the reserves that we had, and we had pretty much nothing left. So it's very good to be in a position where we can start to contribute some of the surpluses to having reserves that can keep us comfortable as directors, that if anything were to happen, we're able to shoulder any unforeseen circumstances again. So in relation to grants and donation, the bulk of that 81% comes from the May Day New Horizon ticket portions from that, and that is 81% of the grants and donations that we had. And apart from that, we still have significant contributions coming from crowdfunding and donations. Those are 5% each. And we also have our key stakeholders, such as the Western Cape Department of Cultural Affairs, the National Lotteries Commission, and the National Art Council, who contributed 2% to the donation, grants and donation each. So you will see that the total grants and donation from these other sources, apart from the tickets, was slightly lower than this year than it was last year. And the reason for that is because all the efforts that we put into the donation last year were the reason that we were able to sell as many tickets as we were. And you know, all the human power, all the human energy that was used towards the donations last year, this year was contributed towards selling this amazing number of tickets. So we are very excited about that. Then the event expenses. So DPW, that consisted of 22% of the event expenses in this current year, and that also goes along with the transport and logistics, right? So that just has to do with ensuring that the event is set up properly and all the logistics and all the equipment that has to be set up there. And you can see the next big items relate to the safety and security of the event. So first you've got medics at 18%, then you also have the security at 8% and firefighters as well at 4%. Then we have our operations at 5%, we've got comms 4%, and we've got DMV at 3% of the budget. And we've got 9%, which relates to any other items that we may not have disclosed here separately. But all of that is again in the financial statements which have been shared with everyone. Then for the operating expenses for the organization as a whole, so the two biggest contributors are still our human costs. So first you've got employee costs at 25%, and we've separated that with our internal contractors, which sit at 31%. So the combined for our human expenses there would be about 56%. Then we have our depreciation, which is the cost of using all the equipment that we have, which sits at 15%. And then we've got our lease expense. We're very grateful in the previous financial year to have gotten significant reductions in our rent, and it still is slightly reduced at the moment. So hopefully we can keep that going forward. And we have payment gateways at 9%, and we have repairs and maintenance as well, which are quite important. Then for the project costs, so it's very exciting to keep contributing towards back into the community, and these projects are some of the ways in which we do that. So because we had the event in the cycle, we're able to bring back a Nati, clan grants and creative grants, and those are 104, 520 and 195K respectively. We had EcoTrip as well, which was very significant in bringing some additional income, and that was at 72K. We had Hammer School, Outreach, and Rise, and those are, as Lars was saying, very, very meaningful activities that we do for Outreach, and those were at 26, 73, and 123K, respectively. And finally, we had those projects that were going into Kwaggafontein as well, and it's quite good to keep developing the land and having all the various activities that are taking place there. Then finally, I will look at the balance sheet. And the balance sheet is just all the assets and liabilities that we have as an organization. So fixed assets, that is all the properties that we have, specifically all the office equipment and any other equipment that we own. So that is at R1 million, which is slightly lower than last year because of the depreciation on those items. Then we've got our bank balance, which sat at 8.5 million at the end of the financial year, compared to the end of the previous financial year, where it was 3.3 million. So again, we're very grateful to try and build back the reserves that were lost during the COVID period. Then on the debtors perspective, we don't really have debtors as an organization. This mostly relates to VAT that is due to us from SARS. So compared to last year, we're very, very happy that we're able to use all these deposits from the event that we couldn't host in 2020, and we're able to use those deposits and bring them back to the organization. So it's quite nice to see that number being nice and low. And similarly, we do not really have any creditors at all as an organization. So this mostly relates to leave provision that is due to our employees and other sundry expenses as well, but it still remains a very low number. So overall, that leaves us with an equity of 9.5 million. And again, this increase in the equity is coming from the surplus that we're able to generate in the current year. So a very big thank you to the team for managing to hold such a successful event that brought us back to a stable financial position. Thank you.
Thank you, Mali. And thank you again, Finco, for putting this together in this very comprehensive way. Wonderful capture. I want to open the floor for any questions. Who would like to raise a question? Do I see hands up? I see appreciation coming in our chat. Well, Mali, it seems you've presented so well that you've left everybody speechless.
Yes, thank you.
Shall we continue with the financial report?
Yes. So the next item, are we presenting the financial statements? Is that correct? Okay, great. So with the financial statements, the draft financial statements, so the auditors are underway with preparing the financial statements, and it's working quite well, and we are confident that we will have the final draft very soon. And it's quite good to have this done much earlier in the year, so we are very happy for those gains. So I'm just going to present the 4 main pages which comprise the financial statements, and this pretty much speaks to what I've already presented in my presentation. So on the assets, we've got our property, plant and equipment, which sits at 1 million, and that's just our office and other equipment that we have. Trade receivables, this is mostly relates to SARS input VAT that has to be paid back to us. We've got cash and cash equivalents of 8.5 million, which is an increase from last year. And we have an accumulated surplus of 9.5 million. And trade and other payables, this mostly relates to employee provisions, and that sits at 196,000. From an income statement perspective, so we've got that event revenue of 70 million, and this includes the May Day and the New Horizon portion of donations at the moment. That's why it's a little bit higher than what I presented. Then we've got our event expenses at 6 million, which we've already shown the breakdown of. We've got other income at 256, operating expenses, and granted donations, which we've already discussed. Investment income relates to our interest that is coming from the bank, and we've got the project costs that we've already discussed as well. And that brings us to the comprehensive income for the year of 4.1 billion. Then changes in equity. So starting at the beginning of the financial year, the 1st of August 2021, the only thing that we had was the surplus of 4.1 million, and that brings us to that surplus position of 9.5 billion. Then from a cash flow perspective, so we started the year with the 3.3 million, and we had cash receipts from customers, or it's a very bad term to call it that, but from the ticket income of 18.7 million, and then we've got the cash paid out to the suppliers, which is 30 million, which means that we generated a total of 5.2 million rand at a net basis, and we received interest of the 142, and that left us with 5.3, and we purchased some property, plant and equipment of 105, which left us with the cash balance of 8.5 million at the end of the financial year. Thank you, Rihanna.
And then immediately over to Alex for your question. Go ahead.
Firstly, where do we find the hand? I don't see the hand for questions. Is that reactions? Anyway, it doesn't really matter. I just wanted to know, thank you very much, Marty. That was very, very interesting. Obviously, there was a lot of saved money before COVID became imminent. What is the plan going forward to putting money away for future pandemics or crises?
Yeah, that's a good question, and I'm sure Lars and maybe Dan can chime in as well. But you know, we always just want to have a certain runway of cash, right? Saying that if we were to receive no income, we'd be able to survive for at least 6 or 12 months, right? So at the moment, we are trying to get to a position where if we were to not have any income for a complete year, we would still be able to maintain the organization. So that's the kind of level of reserve that we are hopefully aiming to get to. And you know, having a surplus like we did it this year doesn't necessarily mean that we've got spare cash lying around. That's definitely not the impression. We just want to say that we are trying to get to a certain level where we've got reserves, and if anything were to happen again, like a big pandemic, we can say we have enough cash to last for a year. And beyond that, you know, we would obviously have to start some cost-cutting measures as well.
No, fantastic. I'm glad to hear it on the discussions. Yeah. No, I'm just very glad to hear that that's part of the discussion. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
fantastic. Thank you.
Wonderful. Any other questions on agenda point 7? And Alex was just remembering how dire the situation was a year and a half ago, and the intense conversation we had in the height of the pandemic. Seeing these figures is amazing, indeed so. May we continue then with
Yes. Yeah.
question
All right.
2, the approval of the financial year 2022 draft financial statements.
Okay, yeah, so that's what I just did now. Okay, yeah, so do we actually have a vote now? Sorry. Yeah, we can do that.
So the email to vote is again via e-ballots, and membership has received has received it already so far. Deanne, I believe you've set that live. And if you can check your inbox to do so. Samantha, your hand is raised.
Yes, I'm just noting that the vote that the ballot link will take us to is for 3 resolutions: the approval of the financials, the approval of the auditors, and the approval of the budget. And I'm wondering if we should not go through all 3 of those items and then head off to vote.
Sure, all right, I'm happy to do that. Okay, cool. So this is the recommendation. So AfrikaBurn auditors, AS Pocock Incorporated, chartered accountants in South Africa, received remuneration of 75,545, excluding VAT, in fiscal year 2022, ending 31 July 2022. This covered the audit of the fiscal year 2021 audited financial statements. We recommend continuing to use services of AS Pocock Incorporated, given the lengths they've gone in order to fully understand our organization's financials and the fact that they have achieved an unbroken string over 10 years of unqualified audits with no red flags. AS Pocock has given us a quote of 90,000 Rand, excluding VAT, for the 2023 audit. We have a continued good working relationship with Craig Steiger, who's the audit partner. We propose that AS Pocock remain our auditors for the 2023 financial year. Thank you.
Thank you, Mali. Then may I request MEMSEC to lead point 10, which regards the budget, which has been shared. Questions have been raised, have been shared. Is there any remaining discussion point that would like to be addressed right now?
I'm not sure MEMSEC is in a position to lead this part. I think it needs to be someone from FinCo. I'm not sure if FinCo received any questions.
Yes, so we did send out the budget, and we asked that all questions be sent, or written questions, and we'll respond to that. So we have received the questions, and all the questions have been responded to. So if there's anything else regarding the budget, I'm happy to answer that, but we have already responded to all the questions that have been received.
Great.
Wonderful, thank you, Mali. So with that open invitation, are there any remaining questions for Mali on behalf of FinCo to wrap up the budget discussion? I see no hands, I see no comments, which means that as per the suggestion of Sam, Bash, is my understanding correct that we can now go to the vote by membership? of these 3 points which were just discussed, meaning the financial statements, the auditor's remuneration, appointment of auditors, and the approval of the budgets?
Yes, that is correct. So the ballot has been sent out through to everyone. We will allow everybody to vote for the next, I guess, say 5 minutes. So everybody that is here. Yes, Dion.
I just want to explain about e-ballot. If any of you guys were nominated as a proxy, you will receive your own email for your own voting, and then another one. So if you have one proxy, then you will receive 2 emails, and you've got to vote on both. And if you receive 2 proxies, obviously you will receive 3 votes. And if anybody didn't get any email, please let us know right now.
Brad has emailed or WhatsApped me and need to look for, it says no reply at eballot.com. So, and it'll be, the subject line is AGM 2023 vote, with the 3 items in there stated as approval of financial year 22, draft financial statements, approval of audit remuneration for financial year 22, and appoint AS Pocock Inc. as auditors for financial year 23. And the third one, approval of the budget for financial year ending 31st of July 2023.
Thank you.
2 hands up are still Dion. Oh, sorry. Yes, Brianna.
We're doing it together. It's all good. Alex Noble, go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just charging my device to vote. Just a quick question, Dion, is it all on one voting ballot, or are there 3 separate voting ballots?
It's all on one.
All on one. Okay, great. I'm just going to step away from the computer. Thank you.
Cool.
So while that's happening, what I've done is I just screenshot and sending it through our Telegram WhatsApp group to show what it might look like when you open it up into eBallot. It should look like that with your 2023 AGM to vote now.
Are you going to share your screen, Bash?
Let's do that, but I won't share how I'm voting. Let's do this. Present, share screen. Let's do that one there. Okay. You can see my screen, so I'm going and moving over through to my email. And the first one, the latest one, will be AGM 2023 vote. And I normally would click on the button, as you can see, click here to start. I clicked on that. It will redirect myself to right into the part where I need to vote. If you receive a screen where you forget your number and your password, your username is shown in your email, and you can request access code if you need to reset anything from your, if you've forgotten it, and I've put in an incorrect one, it will say your login is invalid, and then request the code access from there. Yes, Dion.
I just want to remind them, members as well, to once you've voted, you've got to confirm your vote.
Right. Okay, so once you've selected your, I'm just showing as I abstain, click on continue. It will then take you to a place called review. Once that is, it will show you what you have made as a choice. And then at the bottom, it will say submit instead of continue right there.
But before you can submit, you have to tick the little tick box on the bottom left corner.
All right, there we go.
And I just want to apologize for the subject of that mail. I should have been 2022 AGM vote, but it was kind of a mix between 2023 financial statements and AGM. Sorry about that.
I think we're all wise enough to understand that what we're going to be doing there. So I've stopped the screen, thank you, Dion, for assisting on doing voting and running e-ballots. It has helped us go through this much faster as we are now doing so right now. Can I get a show of hands who still needs some more time to do the voting? As I think, as I read the room, we'd like to end this as soon as possible. Review.
We have 15 votes in and 3 are showing that they viewed but not voted yet. In other words, they haven't confirmed their vote.
Okay, cool. I've just done mine now, so maybe that's just one less on that there. And then let's see. Back to ballots. Completed. Awesome.
If you've voted, maybe just go check your email that you got a thank you for voting confirmation mail. If you didn't get a thank you for voting confirmation mail, then your vote is incomplete. And you should go back into eBallot and complete it.
Cool. It feels like it's running smoothly as we haven't had any more or much more questions about this. Again, can I say, or Dion, do you feel like everybody has already voted?
There should be 17 votes cast, Dion, if
Everyone just
everyone
went in.
represented in this meeting has voted.
Yeah, I did Michelle's first and I somehow botched mine, but like, yes, it's gone through.
We've got 18 votes in and then we've got 1 viewed but not voted. I can say what that person's name rhymes with.
I think, can you throw that message through to the scrutineers group, please?
We'll do that right now.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, now everybody has voted. That there's no viewed but not voted at the moment, and we've got 19 votes in.
19 votes in. Okay, that's wraps up with the number of all present and proxies now of 19. Then I think we have now completed the voting for AGM 2022, sorry, financial years 2022, 2023 budget and financial year ending 2022.
I just want to say I'm going to leave it running till 11 o'clock, if that's okay with everybody, or do we need the results right now?
Leaving it to 11 o'clock means that we have to keep the AGM open until then. And I feel that we can end it now, but let's get a year out from board and Sam.
Through the entire agenda yet. Sam, I see your hand.
If everybody in the meeting has voted and the result of the vote is clear based on the number of people who voted, then any votes that come in later may not impact on that, in which case perhaps we could let everybody know. We've had 19 votes out of a possible, I think, 23, but we also have a number of members on sabbatical, so I don't think there'll be any more votes coming in.
Okay,
Yes,
I just want to explain how e-ballot works. You set an end time, and you can't see the result of the vote until that end time is reached. So at the moment it's set for 12 o'clock, but I can change it now to like in 2 minutes time or whatever, and then it'll end, and then we'll see the results.
Excellent. We, like Rihanna said, we have still few more points, so you can do that for 11 o'clock. Or Rihanna, what would you like to say?
We need until 11 o'clock, a few more minutes. So if you could do it as soon as possible, Diane, that would be highly appreciated. We have agenda point 11, which refers to general or other matters. There's one point that I would like to address on behalf of the board. Are there other agenda items that of those who are present would like to raise in line with this meeting? I see no hands, no comments. Well, then I would like to bring everybody's attention to the year to come and the intention that we've set out as the board to focus on accountability, on our governance, to facilitate an open dialogue with membership, because all of us who sit on the board are grateful for the trust and the confidence that membership has installed in us. And we have been working on putting together our board charter, which has been shared with membership. And to some extent, we received comments on it, which are highly appreciated. Our thinking is that the tentative couch call, which has not been scheduled, but has been flowing in the air for the 8th of December, would give the board a wonderful opportunity, if appropriate, to interact with membership on the board charter. And furthermore, we are completing the board evaluation tools as well as the portfolio and committee evaluation tools, which would be a joint effort, of course, between the board and membership. And also we would like to, in the couch call, which ideally would be already on the 8th of December, discuss with membership what would be appropriate in terms of communication. So how we from the board can share our progress, how us in interaction with EXCO could do that. So to wrap this all up, the question from the board to membership is if we could have an interaction by means of the couch call on the 8th of December. I see one enthusiastic reaction by Brad. Alex, yes. Robert, yes. Can I assume that everybody who's present now would also want to attend on the 8th of December? I see a lot of yeses. I feel that this is an exciting new beginning, because how we strive to actually wrap this all up, because the board charter has already been shared, that we also do a workshop on the board evaluation tools. In an ideal scenario, we would like to wrap it all up so that we can start 2023 anew with all of these measures in place, and yeah, that we continue to serve the community at large in that way. Wonderful. Thank you so much for all your enthusiasm. Diane, has the magic already come to a conclusion in terms of the votes?
I set it for 11, but I'll set it for 5 to 11 now.
Okay. Well, in this remaining 2 minutes, anybody else who would like to share something? Ashid Bash, with his wonderful voice, what would you like to contribute to today's meeting, which we have swiftly run in these minutes?
Yes, I would like to say yes, an hour. Everybody, well done. Enjoyed the reporting, enjoyed hearing what we've done previously. I think what we tend to forget a lot of the time is that we forget about everything that we have done before, and we just a lot of the time find ourselves in the nitty-gritty of everything, but forget about the amazing work that we have done before. And gearing what the board would like to do coming up the 8th of December, yes, it sparks a lot of joy to excitement. More than that, it's I don't want to use the word promise, because I don't like doing that, because it's easy to break, but it is promising. And to feel that everything that is going to be happening for the next couple of years is going to be based on just pretty much what we've just done, to what we really want to do for 2023. Great to see Dane become part of the team, and watching how the board has put together, is now working together after this weird and wacky time of COVID, to okay, cool, we are now moving forward with steam engine, really just moving forward.
We're also so excited. I've seen your hand, Skippy. We're also so excited to learn who you have entrusted with joining our ranks and being of service to the community at large. And I'll give the floor to Skippy now and then to Lorraine. Skippy, go ahead.
I would just like to take this moment to extend a great, ginormous thank you to the board. This is a very new board and you've already done fantastic work, and I'm so proud of you and I'm so honored to be able to work with you. So I think I speak for the whole membership when I say thank you so much.
Thank you. Lorraine?
I just wanted to once again invite members to the session that we're going to be having on the 6th of December, which is going to be at 10:30. We are going to be having a presentation with Ray de Villiers, who looks at the future world, especially in technology. And we are going to be imagining what AfrikaBurn is going to be like in 25 years' time. It links into the Burning Man Regional Network, who are currently planning a shared vision for 25 years' time, as they are now 25 years old. And Ray will be presenting to us around what we imagine technology will look like what we know at the moment, what technology will be looking like in that time, in terms of singularity, in terms of kind of decentralized systems and those kinds of things. And we will be having a Q&A around what that will mean for AfrikaBurn in terms of a human thing, a human connection thing, and the experience of AfrikaBurn into the future. And we will use this as one of the touch points for developing our strategy, and we would like to use this as a basis for working towards developing the Bosporad. It will be recorded for internal purposes only. Ray has very generously said that we can make a recording of the discussion, but I would really encourage people who are able to be available during the day. I appreciate it's a working day, but if people are there to feed into that discussion, it would be super. If not, we will be finding a way. It's both it's in person and it can be online as well. So we're gonna work out how we're gonna set that up. But yeah, if you're interested, please pop me an email and I'll add you to the calendar link, and then you'll get the notification. And Brad, I think I've already put you onto that calendar link. I know that you've already asked me about that. Thanks.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Lorraine. Looking forward to it. Diane, take it away.
I've given the results to the powers that be. I guess it's theirs to announce, but the vote is in.
Okay. Well, just for terms of time, I see that the votes have been sent through to from Dion, or from e-ballot to MEMSEC. Sam, can you check? And Stephen, can you check? I have checked it. I believe
I think that's pretty clear.
Excellent.
400.
Okay. So to confirm what everybody's voted, all 19 votes were unanimous on each vote for 100% of approving the financial year 2022. The auditors are going to be AS Pocock for 23, as well as now resolved to approve the financial year 23 budget. Congratulations, everyone, and FinCo board and membership.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Then, without further ado, we've managed to keep our time, and it's time for all of you who are gathering to enjoy each other's company. Thank you again, and may I leave it with MEMSEC to schedule the couch call for the 8th of December. And I will liaise to share the appropriate documents for that. I see that Alex has her hand up. Go ahead.
Yes, you probably all got an email saying that we're having a little after party gathering here at the Deer Park Cafe. So if you're interested to have a chat and a laugh, then come to the Deer Park Cafe. We aiming to get there at about 3, and Roger and his crew have put a big table for us somewhere where the wind is not blowing. Just look for us. We're around the restaurant somewhere. And yeah, Sebas has organized a couple platters of food, and bring your own food as well and your own drinks if you don't want to spend restaurant money. But please do come along.
Wonderful. Wishing you a wonderful time. Thank you all. And see you on the 8th.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. If you'd like, please unmute yourself and say goodbye, and then we'll end the call, yeah?
Just on the wire, raised his hand. So Skippy, take it away before you say goodbye.
Yes, just as a kind of matter, Michelle let me know last night that couch call will be a week later on the 12th to or on the weekend of the 12th to 15th, in the interest of enough time of notice for the membership to come out. So it would fall over to that next weekend, the 12th to 15th.
Wonderful. I will leave it in the capable hands of MEMSEC to schedule to ensure that as many members can attend as possible, with the entire board present as well.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks
so much.
This weekend.
Yeah.
Bye.
Hey, was this
Amazing.
supposed to be
Love you all. I'm out.
Thank you, everybody. Goodbye.
Ciao,
Bye.
ciao. Thank you very
Bye.
much for attending, everybody. All right, downloading everything. So,
Cool. Well done, Bash. Well done, Rihanna, for holding that space. It's really good. Well done.
Yes, well done, Bash, Lorraine,
Yeah, I think Lorraine's for
Mali, you did well. Rihanna, good to see you, babe. Chat
Cool.
soon. Bye, G.
cheers, guys. Cheers, guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Say transcript. You still there? Yeah, ending for everyone.